Hi everyone, my name is Stefano Bartoli and I'm the Director of Education for thermabliss Wellness. Welcome to thermabliss Presents Behind the Hands with Peter Wang. For those of you who don't know, Peter was recently named Massage Envy's National Therapist of the Year. And once you hear his story, you'll understand exactly why. Today's webinar is all about getting to know the person behind the hands, how he got started, what inspires him, the techniques and the tools that support his work, the insights he's picked up along the way. We'll also talk a little bit about how thermabliss stones and charges have become part of his practice and the difference they make delivering therapeutic results while taking care of his own body. So with that, let's dive in. Hi, Peter.
How's it going?
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
So today what we're going to do is we're just going to we're going to go through some questions you and I have discussed a little bit. Let's start with the big one. What was it like being named Massage Envy's National Therapist of the Year?
It was definitely a dream come true. I know that for sure. Definitely it's been a goal of mine ever since I was introduced to the idea that Massage Envy had such a thing. It's my goal to, get to that part. Finally being called up on that stage. It was definitely, still soaking it in, pinching myself, making sure it's more than just a dream, right? But
Totally.
definitely an honor, definitely being among those other great therapists there. We're all deserving of it. So I'm there just to represent all of us. So I'm just
That's
glad to be the one that helps represent us all.
Well, congratulations. Well deserved. Can you take us back to the beginning? How did your journey as a massage therapist begin? We all have one of those.
All right. I tell all my new therapists this too. It's like I have not met one person that said, when I was growing up, I want to be a massage therapist. So we all have our unique stories that led us to, getting to this career. What got me into this is when my mom was diagnosed with MS back in 2007, 2008. And it was a therapy that one of the doctors recommended. It just kind of like struck a chord in me. So I actually like looked it up and found out, massage is more than just some luxury all these rich people used to get back in the day. You can help a lot of people through the touch of massage therapy. So with that, I kind of like dove into a little bit more, got some more information. I share the story with a lot of people too. It's like the day of my 21st birthday, I had a meeting with the school I went to. So while everyone's partying hard on their 21st birthday, I signed up for a massage program.
Right
So
on.
that's
That's
definitely cool from there. And then through school, that's where I met my beautiful wife and daughter. So it's like everything happens for a reason.
That's right. That's cool, man. I remember when I was working in physical therapy, I used to work on a lot of patients with MS. Something I always like to say is nothing beats the human touch. And people would always ask me, well, how did you get involved in massage yourself? But I got involved because I was trying to go to physical therapy school and I applied to both. And the PT that I was actually working with said, whichever school you go to or whichever one accepts you first, that's your destiny, that's your journey, right? So I
Right.
got accepted to massage therapy school and I was super excited. And this physical therapist is the one that told me, nothing beats the human touch. Let's say you were sick, just laying in bed, you were just miserable. Your caregiver came over, mom, grandma, whoever it was, came over and just placed their hand on top of your forehead. For that split second, you just felt great again.
Instant relief. Yeah.
You didn't feel anything. You felt normal. You're like, wow, this is such a great feeling. So to me, that's always been one of the biggest things. I always want to make people feel that way when I'm in a treatment room with them.
Absolutely.
All right. Was there a moment in your career when you felt things really clicked for you as a massage therapist?
Once I stopped thinking so hard about everything, like just realizing, this is your purpose. And then, definitely having a few clients that come to mind. Like I had this one older gentleman that he came to me. He was a bodybuilder, power lifter back in the day and all that stuff. Seeing the progress I made with him and like getting his feedback and just the joy of every time he came in to tell me, how he's been progressing, how he started entering senior competitions again and winning. Every one of those moments kind of helped me realize, this is your path, dude. So like kind of like build off of that. So everyone that I see is like, you kind of get hyped up every time you see someone, knowing that, through our touch, we can make a huge difference in these people's lives.
Yeah, so true. I was a guinea pig, just for those of you that don't know. I've been around for about 30 years. So I'm literally from the Stone Ages. But
I'm
yeah,
not far behind you.
I was working at a hospital and I was actually I was a guinea pig for a writing, an article that they were doing at a hospital to see if massage therapists would be a good addition to to hospital settings.
Mhm.
And I had the opportunity to go work in the oncology floor, which is pretty rough. You got a lot of other floors that you can work on, right? They stuck me on that floor and I'm like, seriously, out of all the floors, you guys got to put me on that one. And they're like, well, yeah, you make people laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, this is real funny, guys. But I do remember the time that the family came to me and said, you made my mom feel human again. And that was the time that I clicked. So it was a really emotional time, but I was like, wow, I can actually make people feel good.
Right.
And that's something that we inspire to do. We want to make people feel good, right? So that's what I mean. Nothing beats the human touch, which is it's a blessing that we can do that. Not everybody can do
Right.
it. There's a few of us that can, right?
Right. Exactly.
What are some of the core values or philosophies that guide your work in your treatment room?
I tell everyone try not to be too fancy, first of all. Like we learn all these awesome techniques in our programs. And the one thing a lot of people do is like they try to do everything in one session. So I tell people, no, stick to the basics, make the basics awesome, make the basics great. So we kind of like feed off the basics and just like make it our own thing, knowing that there's some things that will work for us, some things that won't work for us. That's just the beauty of massage. Like we're all unique in our own unique ways. So
Exactly.
no, just finding our secret touch is the best philosophy I can go about, and just knowing that believing in yourself. Obviously, I know it's cliche to say that, but believe in yourself because you were brought into this career. This was your journey, and you like through that you find your purpose. And once that clicks, like it's cool from there.
Yeah.
Because this field is definitely a blessing to be part of.
Same thing here for me when it came to my philosophy. It's, well, I say it all the time. It's the KISS method. Keep it simple, Stefano. You can put whatever S word you want at the end there, but it's the
Right.
truth. We're massage therapists. We're supposed to be like super chill. Take it easy. Enjoy the time that you're in there and take like our tool belt and just our massages. Everybody's eclectic. We have our own little style. That's what makes us us. That's why
Right.
everybody loves to come to you because of your service, what your human touch is and what you do for them. So, and
Right.
that's again the blessing, and that's the philosophy. I totally 100% agree with you. Just try to keep it as simple as possible, and then we can work from there. What does your session prep look like? Do you have any rituals or habits that you help you stay centered?
So I'm a big sports guy. I'm a big Kobe fan too. So I always like imagine myself, when Kobe's going through that tunnel pregame and all that stuff, you get in the zone. So every time I'm walking down the hallway, I feel like walking into the court, getting myself in the zone, blocking out all the outside noise. When I turn on my lights in the room, that's those are the bright lights that come on when the starting lineup comes out. It gets me, hyped up to be there for the day and knowing that, I'm going to make a difference and whoever's life is going to be on the table that day. That's the way I prep for it. Obviously, when I get in the room, stretch because if we're not taking care of ourselves, we can't take care of that person that's going to be in front of us. So I stretch. I do a little meditation as well. I just started doing that recently, the past year or so, but definitely helps you ground well. Even if you come in at a stressful state, calm yourself down, woosah everything out of you. So now that you're present with your client, so you can be there for them no matter what issues are ahead of you.
Do you do anything outside? Do you work out as well, or do you just total meditation? I've been on the
So
meditation route myself for like 2 years now. Believe me, it makes a huge difference. So any massage therapists on here, start meditating if you're not doing it. Believe me, it grounds you really, really well.
absolutely. But yeah, outside of the clinic, those that know me, they find it fascinating because again, leading back to being a Kobe fan, I get up at 3:30 every morning, grab my cup of Joe, and then head to the gym after that. So definitely I think of our field like a professional athlete does. So, we have basketball players that train to be the best basketball player, baseball players that train to be the best baseball player. So when I go to the gym, the way I view it is I'm getting my muscles in shape, getting myself in tune so I can be the best massage therapist when I walk through these doors. Again, view myself as that top-notch superstar that we all view ourselves as.
Right on. Yeah, there's for everyone you have to get some type of routine ritual that makes you get going in every day. Like Peter was saying, he stretches. I definitely I used to stretch. I still stretch, but I don't do as many massages as you guys do anymore. So I'm more of the trainer now. But thanks for sharing that with us. Next question that we have. We know that you work with thermabliss stones. So how did you first get introduced to them and what drew you to them?
It all started off with the guy that I'm speaking to right now when I met you in Nashville last year. So going into that conversation, the experiences I had with Hot Stone were good, but they weren't like memorable. Where like I was like a big advocate for hot stones. But after getting to know you a little bit and after you started to explain the way your stones work, it like really fascinated me that, just with two stones, you can provide this heated therapy for that whole session. So looking at the shape of the stone too, it fascinated me too, just because it's a multi-tool. So it's like a lot of our hot stones that we used to use, like they're just nice and round and elegant and all that stuff, but it didn't have this gua sha side, this thumb point that was going to change the game for us. So definitely that's what really, really clicked for me in the beginning. And just doing a little demo with yourself, like seeing how much heat it does emit, it was fascinating to me. So I was like, I definitely have to bring this on. Definitely have to see what we can do with this product to make it happen, because we had a lot of clients still asking for hot stones, but the whole like prep and cleanup time, that was one of like the biggest issues for us. We all say, no, I like hot stones, but that whole prep and cleanup is like, it was dreadful. But definitely you showing us, it takes like 2 minutes to get these things ready, 2 minutes to clean up. Let's do this. And then just seeing how just the idea of doing a back-to-back massage with the hot stones can lead to a back-to-back massage. That was like beautiful to me if we could get that rolling. So definitely, when I brought these things into the clinic, tested it out on one of my assistant managers. She was my test dummy in the beginning. So thank you, Sierra, for being the guinea pig. So luckily she didn't get burned or hurt or anything like that. Once I saw how long these things lasted and how effective it worked for me, and just started to have these ideas in my head, I can really make this thing more than just a hot stone massage. We can use this as an actual tool and get to those troubled areas, those focused areas within a blink of an eye. It makes it that much easier for us. Those ideas started to click from the beginning, and it's like kind of just grew from there.
So when did you start using them? When was the official month, I guess you can state?
We launched it at the end of last September.
Okay.
So I think September 30th was the exact date. I encourage a lot of our therapists to, just pick a couple of our best clients just to test them out on in the beginning, just to see what their reaction was going to be to it. And I mean, the rest is history from there, because our clients fell in love with these things.
That's great. I know you gave me a number, and I know I'm throwing you on the spot here. Do you remember how many you did in 3 months?
I think we were just shy of 250. We were probably pushing 280-ish.
Right.
Around that range. That 250 was something that I didn't anticipate us hitting that number so quickly. Just the initial reaction from our clients when they first got the service, when they came out of that room with this big old smile on their face, they're like, where has this been all my life? Why haven't you guys brought this on for the past 10 years?
Right.
Like that right there was like, it gave me a boost of confidence, our other therapists a boost of confidence, knowing that, we have an enhancement that's going to do well for us, that our clients love, and that they're already pre-booking ahead of time with the thermabliss stones.
Yeah, like when you were saying the 2 minutes of setting up, the 2 minutes of cleanup time. And that has always been one of the biggest complaints of massage therapists. For us who are massage therapists, we've all been in those rooms and we've always complained about it, about the setup and then the cleanups. And then, oh my goodness, I'm the only massage therapist today that's doing hot stones. Where's everybody else? You have back to back, and it's just like, it's mind blowing, right? So unfortunately, the world of hot stones has declined in the last 10 years. But with our thermabliss stones, we've actually been able to start getting massage therapists back on board, just like you said, because you can do back to back to back hot stones or even enhancements. And therapists love it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, most people do love heated tools. They also love, heated beds. They want, they want something that's hot. So it doesn't matter what time of year. Being here in Las Vegas, I will share this with you. I've done as many hot stones during the summer at 118 degrees outside, not inside the room, of course, than I have done in the winter. So we were constantly busy with hot stones all year round. So yeah, this is something that you can do all the time. So the next question is pretty much, you just answered it. What kind of impact has thermabliss stones made in your sessions, both for the clients and your own body mechanics? We've already talked about the clients, I guess, but what about for yourself and what about for your team?
Most obvious one is while you're using these things in your hands, you're heating up your hands. So it's nice and relaxed. So by the end of that session, your hands they absorb all that heat, all that tension that we tend to maybe build up in our hands. It's minimal, and most times it's not there, just because as we were working on people, these stones were helping relieve any tension we got in our hands too. And because of that heat that we're using from these stones, it helps us use these tools in place of using our digits. So definitely this heated thumb point, it saves these bad boys right here. I had a therapist that worked for us last year. He said, it's like breaking the law with these things. How much more you can do with less effort. He said he kind of felt bad in the beginning because he felt so much more progress going on in his sessions. But he said just the amount of effort, less effort it takes to get through that fascia layer down to the deep parts of the muscles that we're trying to target for sessions upon sessions. And now we can get to those within one session by using these. He said it just is fascinating. So like breaking the law, like I think that was like the perfect explanation one of my therapists gave me. So I was like, yeah. I think it's the only time you can say that breaking the law feels good, because you're doing yourself a service by getting 2 massages in one, 3 massages in one by using these stones.
So true. It's funny. I remember when you had sent me that, and I was like, yeah, we're breaking the law. I guess we're breaking the law, but in a good way. So
Right.
ethically speaking, I think we're doing okay. But you're right. Again, when you were talking about your hands being stiff and sore, that's one big thing that I do get a lot of feedback from massage therapists all over that they say, before I was using the hot stones, my hands were achy, they were stiff, they were sore. Not during your first or two massages, but let's say you had four, five, six, depending on your location, right? You maybe have 8 massages in a row, which is crazy, but let's just say you did that. Your hands do get sore. That's just a given. We just know that. It's a numbers game. For those of you like yourself, when you're using the stones, they actually feel that their hands aren't as stiff and achy as much as they were before. So they're able to do more services throughout the day, which makes them feel better because sometimes you would have to say, well, hey, Peter, I can't do this service. Can you take my client? My hands are stiff. I just can't do anymore. Again, it's a whole psyche thing too, because if you have to start giving away your clients, it'll go all the way up to your franchise owner being like, well, we hired this person, but literally they can only do two or three. Now these people are able to do more services. Their hands feel good, which makes their mind feel much better that they're able to do this. And they actually and again, this is just data that I've received from massage therapists, is now they're just using them pretty much on every single service. If they possibly can, even if it's just an enhancement, they're able to use them because they're still getting the heat in their hand. So the benefit is going to the client, which they're getting the touch time, but it's also you that you're getting the heat in your hand. So it's benefiting both. And then, of course, you were talking about the little thumb point, saving our little digits here, right? Same thing there. The nice thing is the client is always getting the continuous heat, but they're also getting the little trigger point work at the same time without letting go of the client. And the blessing for you, you're getting the continuous heat. And what is it saving? Your digits. It's a win-win for everyone. Yeah, that's something, again, that's a lot of, and I love feedback. So anybody on here, whenever you get something like that, please share it with me. As an educator, the more information you give me, the more information I send out. So there's less massage therapists in this world today than there were pre-COVID. So we got to keep our staff on board and keep them healthy as much as we possibly can. And of course, as Peter's saying, saving our hands, well, that saves our careers too. Are there certain types of clients or conditions where you feel that the thermabliss stones really make a difference?
I think it's so universal. Just our everyday, normal 9 to 5 person at the desk, at the computer, all that stuff. We get to, we build everything up in our traps and rhomboids and rolled shoulders and all that stuff. Definitely, that mid-thoracic area, like just helping unlock all that. Like it doesn't matter who you are, we're all locked up in those areas. Everyone benefits from these stones, no matter what level of stress you're at, just because like when you're sick or stressed out, like when grandma or mom came over to you and just placed her hand on you, just that instant relief it gave you, that's what these provide for everyone. As soon as you start working with them, you can hear that client take a deeper breath, or they just say, holy moly, that's the best thing I've ever felt. Like it's only been 5 seconds for a massage. So
Right.
it has that instant impact.
Yeah, when it comes to heat, and for again the therapists that are on this call here, we always talked about heat in school, but some people forget about it when you leave school. But heat relaxes muscles. Let the heat do the work for you. Let the stones do the work for you. So that was always something that I always tried to teach my students or my team. You're working harder, not smarter. We need to work smarter,
Smarter.
not harder. So
Yeah.
use those tools, use those heated tools. They work really well. In my trainings, I always tell everybody it's like taking a hot knife to butter. If you took a cold knife and a cold stick of butter and you tried to cut it, it's really hard to get through it. But if you heat up that knife, it slices right through that butter real easy. That's what this stone does for you guys. It literally will relax the muscles so much that even for the manual therapist that loves to have one hand on a client at any given time, it breaks everything down. So it's a little easier to manipulate the tissue in there and get to, and do what you need to do. So yeah, I'm right there with you on that. Clients can tell when a therapist is fully present. How do you maintain that level of focus day after day? Because we
Really,
know we've all been
yeah.
there. Some days we're just like, oh, dude, another one.
Right.
Seriously.
No, definitely, practicing grounding techniques. So definitely, starting your day off with that meditation that we were speaking about earlier helps you leave that outside world, right? So whatever we're bringing in kind of helps us escape from that. So that's definitely like the number one issue a lot of us have when we have those days. Like we kind of like whatever stressful state we're in outside of the clinic, we kind of bring it here with us. So it kind of drags our day on like that. But definitely, in between sessions, practicing on your deep breath techniques. So the same things that we're preaching to our clients, I think we have to be the citizen model to make sure that we're practicing those as well. All
Yeah.
right. So we fall into those bad habits, which is normal. It's human nature to fall into those bad habits. But in between sessions, just help reset yourself, get you back to fresh mode right there. Just thinking about all the positive things that are going to happen throughout that massage. Even during the session when things aren't clicking for you, just remembering everything that is happening well for you during those sessions helps you get through that session, obviously. But definitely, if it's a session that doesn't click for you, don't dwell on it afterwards. You kind of revisit it in your head a little bit, saying, I did this, and this well. So that in itself should help uplift you without dragging you down, like thinking, man, I didn't do well in this massage. This client's not going to come back to me. And we've all been there.
Mhm.
And sometimes, majority of the time, like when we feel like that, and we walk back out there by the end of the day, and we see that this client rebooked with us for the next 3 months. So like it validates, maybe I'm a little too hard on myself, right? So next time something like that does happen, you're not going back into that mindset, thinking about those negative thoughts. So you don't think too hard about yourself. So you can still have a successful session after that one.
I remember those days that I'm like, man, I just gave that client the worst massage ever. And I'm like, they are not coming back. And then you come out and they left you a tip, they rebooked for the next day or something because I worked in casino hotels, so they weren't there every week, you know. And the client was like, they left you a comment card. Oh, it was one of the best massages ever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That was one of the worst massages I've ever given in my life. I thought because you weren't there, but I totally understand exactly what you're saying. So even on thinking that it was a bad massage, I always try to address it, take the negatives out of it and try to make them positives because I try to learn from my mistakes. So it just keeps getting better and better. And then
Right,
obviously whatever positive out of that, you're like, okay, there were good positives. There were things that came out of that that were actually positive. So I never
right,
look at it as a negative. I always try to take the negatives and make it into a positive. So yeah, it's
absolutely.
this way you just keep building. It's a journey when it comes to massage. We just keep getting better and better and better at it. There's always
Right,
something that we can always continue to learn because every client is not the same. Every time you close the door in your room, I always used to tell everybody it's like a different book, a different chapter of a book. You just never know what you're going to get. Has there been a particular client interaction or outcome that really stuck with you over the years?
yes, many. But like the most recent one was a gentleman. I just met him about 4 months ago. At the time, he was about 18 months post stroke, going through PT and all that stuff. And he said, obviously it's a traumatic event going through a stroke and almost having his left side paralyzed, and went through PT and all that stuff, but then didn't feel any kind of relief, any kind of progress. And his wife is one of our members here, and he finally said, "No, let's just try it." That initial visit, him having an emotional release on the table, first of all, it's like just experiencing that, just seeing that, how much relief came from that moment was definitely, a blessing to be part of. And definitely seeing how much trust he gave me. And he's been my weekly client for the past 3, 4 months now. And just seeing that progress he's made every week and knowing that no matter what plan we come up with, his confidence in our craft has definitely helped me progress as a therapist. Like even after 15 years, like there's always room for progress. And it's like these special clients that help you know that your purpose keeps growing and growing and growing. Like massage is a never ending career. You're always learning something new. And you meet special clients like this that help kind of blossom your career even more. Like even at times where you start to feel a little stagnant, but then you come across this great person. I mean, these great people have issues that you're healing. Through those issues are they're blessing you because now you're able to heal those issues, help them progress, and it helps you progress as a therapist too. But like I said, definitely helps boost your self-esteem, boost your sense of purpose as a therapist. And then from there, it's like because you have more confidence, like everyone you see after that, you're feeding that energy into everyone else as well.
Yeah, it's just like eye-opening even for you. It's like you're
Right.
just trying to do that the best that you can, and at that moment you're like, oh wow, I really did something today. I made someone feel special. I made them feel
Right.
better. Wow, this
Right.
really, again, it's just a really cool feeling to do that. And then you take that and you bring it to your next client, and then your next client, and your next client. As I said, it's like you and I have said many of times, it's a journey. We just keep learning more and more and more from every single person that we're working on. So, and being a program chair at a school beforehand, I had seen a decline. A lot of schools, a third of the schools in the nation have actually closed down since COVID. So we need to take care of ourselves. It's super important. For tens of thousands of less therapists there are today, there's more room for us to grow, of course, but we need to take care of ourselves. You lose one therapist or two therapists in your clinic, that is detrimental to your business. All of us massage therapists on here, we came on, we want to help people. We don't want to, ruin our careers. We want to be healthy when we're working on people because if we're hurt or injured, how can we give them the benefits of what we can give them, right? So it's
Right.
very important that we take care of ourselves first before we take care of others.
I definitely tell people, definitely, self-care is number one. And it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be this huge, extreme routine you go through. It could be like 5 minutes a day that you're
Yeah,
taking care of yourself. Just like
exactly.
just simple stretches. those small habits become a bigger habit later on down the road because it becomes so natural. So then
Exactly.
sometimes those 5 minutes become 10 minutes after a few months, and
Sure.
those 10 minutes become half an hour. We just naturally take care of ourselves after that.
It's so true. Yeah. Next thing you know, you're taking yoga classes and Pilates and stuff like you're getting up at 3 a.m. like Peter is, having a cup of Joe and going to work out. You're all be in the same gym. What role has mentorship or support from other therapists played in your growth?
Definitely being open-minded, just not me helping other therapists and helping them, get to where they want to be, but always being open-minded to getting feedback from them as well has helped me progress a lot as well. So even like my newer therapists, there's things that they're learning in program now that I didn't know back in the day. So I'm always like learning like these small things, no matter who I'm meeting, like even when I'm doing interviews, like you always learn something a little bit new. And even though, like I said, even though I'm training people, I'm teaching people, they're also teaching myself. And even like not just my therapists or all the employees here, like I learn from my wife, my kids all the time as well. Like I think they're my best mentors because like even like through all the stressful times, they teach me how to, come back to the ground zero, daddy. You're good. You're an
Yeah.
all-star kind of thing. So stop, being too hard on yourself and definitely help keep me motivated, grounded, and at ease during all the stressful times that may come about.
That's cool that you have your family that can help you do that too. So, and even with like with our stones, I'll get people that send me photos or they'll send a little video and they're like, "Hey, Steve, I did this with your stones," and I'm like, "Huh." The educator was educated today. This is pretty awesome.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I grab that and I share it with people. So it's humbling, again in our world because there's always something more that we can always learn. You're like, oh, I think I got it. Nope, you don't have it. You almost had it, but no, you're not there yet.
Yeah. And sometimes it happens like midway through your training as you're showing someone something, and all of a sudden you just make this slight little tweak, and you're like, whoa, hold on, wait a minute, let's try that again.
Yeah,
Now I discovered something new. So now they're
right.
part of that new technique you just came up with.
Totally.
So it's like I said, it's a never ending process that's going on with our field. Again, when I'm training someone, I'm learning something in the process as well.
And as you said before, open-mindedness is super important. You have to be open-minded. If you don't have that, it doesn't work. And I know that some of us have known some therapists or maybe some other businesses that we worked in, and some people did not want to learn something new. They're like, nope, this is my little bubble. I'm going to stay in it. And you're like, oh my goodness,
Right.
there's so much more that you can do. But,
Right.
and it's so important when it comes to like mentoring, like even for myself when I was teaching at the school, I was like, this is so awesome. I have about 200 new massage therapists coming in. So I can give them my knowledge to share with them because this is the future of our industry. I'm like, this is so cool, able to help them out. And again, you're like, and they're in school.
Right.
They're brand spanking new in like a Swedish class, and you're like, where'd you come up with that technique? And then they're like,
Right.
oh my goodness, that was really cool. I'm like, you're only in the school for like 2 months and you learned that. I'm
Right.
like, that's super spot on, man. That's awesome. I'm gonna take that.
Right. Exactly.
Well, how do you handle days when a session doesn't go quite as planned, or you're feeling off a little bit?
Um, it kind of like I said before, like even after that session, accept that you weren't top notch. It's human nature not to be 100% all the time.
Mhm.
Just accept that you did the best to your abilities, and knowing that you're able to think back at what didn't click during that massage. So the next time you're in that situation, you think about what alternative things could I have done to flip the switch to solve that issue.
Mhm.
And again, it comes back to open-mindedness, knowing that, we do make mistakes. Sometimes there's things that don't click for us, but let's go back to it. Let's go back to the drawing board, write it down, say, in this case, let's list 3 things I could do differently. And you kind of like put yourself in that scenario mentally. So next time when it happens, you're prepared for it.
What advice would you give a newer therapist who wants to build a meaningful, lasting career? You got a new one just coming in right in the door.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Don't be too hard on yourself. I know they're excited. You imagine how your career is going to play out, but it's a slow, progressive road in the beginning. There's a lot of learning moments and knowing that you're going to hit a few bumps in the road, obviously, but you don't let those, back you down. You learn from those mistakes, and just knowing that every massage therapist is unique in their own special way. And even if you do hit a snag somewhere in the beginning, therapists, we have this close knit group. No matter who you reach out to, no matter how far along they're in their career, you can meet this therapist that's been in here 20 years, and you start to explain to them, I'm hitting this little snag. You're like, oh yeah, I remember I had the same thing happen to me in my first year. So, reaching out to different therapists from all levels, getting to know how they started and knowing that they all started out the same level as you did. And they all have, different stories that led to their great careers. But we all have those moments in the beginning of our careers that, it's a make it or break it moment. We all can break through those moments just fine. And just knowing that after, again, meeting some of these special clients along the road, like when you meet that first one, you just harness that moment you had with them. You harness that feeling you had after that massage, and it's like you hold on to it, and like it definitely keeps you confident every day coming to work. And from there, like every day, you're looking to have that one extra special client that gives you that special moment again. So that special feeling that started off very small in the beginning just keep blowing up and blowing up, blowing up.
I'm sure, as I said, a lot of you that are on here as massage therapists, you've maybe were lead therapists or therapists of the year and stuff like that, just trying to help out other newer therapists. It's so much fun. It
Right.
really is just taking the knowledge that you have. Remember, they don't know as much as you. So just even a little tip is like, to them is like, oh my goodness, that just changed everything the way I see things in massage. You're all educators. There's a lot of massage therapists out there. I'm like, oh, I'm just a massage therapist. I'm like, no, you're not. You're an educator. You
Yeah.
educate either other therapists, other team members, or you're educating your client on something. So you're constantly teaching somebody something. So,
Right.
pat yourselves on the back because that's what we do. That's what we're supposed to do. If you could go back and tell your younger therapist self one thing, what would it be?
Breathe. Definitely that young therapist that was very hard on himself in the beginning. I struggled a lot in the beginning too. And even my manager can attest for this. In the beginning of my career, I think almost every other week I was in my boss's office. I'm thankful that he gave me second, third, fourth, fifth chances to, redeem myself. Telling my young self, these are all learning moments. Obviously after every those conversations, I look back and say, I got to step my game up to make sure I don't hit that mistake again or fall into the issue, fall into that complaint again. Telling myself, don't be too hard on yourself. That's something I will constantly, reflect back on in those certain moments that should have broke me. But, again, it's like just kind of thought about it all and made sure I breathe deeply, very, very deeply, just to know that these are all natural things that happen to the therapist in the beginning, but you can get through it as long as you believe in yourself.
Even myself, when I was younger, I said, I have to learn everything. And I'm like, wait, why don't I learn one thing really good and then learn something else and then keep
Right.
moving on as much as I possibly can and learn as much as I could. So, yeah, don't be hard on yourself. It's humbling. As I said, you get hit a roadblock or something, or you get called into the manager's office and you're like, oh gosh, what did I do now? They tell you and you're like, oh yeah, I did do that. All right,
Right.
learn from the mistake and move forward. Again, it's stumbling blocks, but as long as you keep learning from them, you're gonna be totally fine. How has your relationship with your work changed since receiving national recognition?
It's been great. It hasn't changed like drastically. We're all proud of each other here at my clinic. So, but definitely, getting more high fives, a lot more congratulations and stuff like that. Letting my team know, I'm just a representation of our team. Like I get to represent our clinic. Obviously, it's an individual award, but I'm just a reflection of our team. So I'm just letting everyone know that although Peter Wang won the award, Voldemar won the award
Right
because I've learned from all my therapists here. My massage is everything I learned from everyone here, so they get to be part of this whole celebration that's still going on.
Right on. That's cool. Are you doing anything else with that? Is it just this little webinar that we're doing? Are you working with any other?
Yeah, so it started off with you setting up this webinar, and then a few days later, I got a message from corporate asking me if I wanted to take part in a Q&A for Massage Magazine article that's coming up, I think in June. And then after that, a couple days later, someone else from corporate emailed me, getting some feedback on our success as by using thermabliss. They want us to be spotlighted in one of the newsletters coming up as well. So it's all hitting right now. It's definitely a cool experience. Our clinic being in a spotlight is like it's been such a blessing, something that we've been working towards, and it's all happening. So it's like definitely an exciting time for us, and we're hoping that it just continues to
Yeah,
grow.
that's awesome. Everybody, make sure you look for that June issue. The Massage Magazine. Peter's going to be there, so that's super cool. Since do we get signed copies or anything like that? Do we get a?
I can make it happen. I'll have a signing party and all that stuff.
That's cool, man. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And finally, what's next for you? Are there any goals, dreams, or projects you're excited about right now or want to do in the future?
I think, over the past few years, ever since I became a lead therapist and started training our therapists here, new therapists and all that stuff, becoming an educator and instructor has definitely been like the one top goal I have in mind. whether it's to be within the network or like branching outside of Massage Envy, whatever, the road leads to. Because I used to coach basketball back in the day too. So having that coaching background, like you see, once you start to coach some people, once you start to train some people, and you see your lessons starting to play out through their hands, it's definitely a cool experience to see it. They take in what you're teaching them, and they're putting it to practice, and you're seeing them succeed by making it their own. Your teachings were the first building block to that success. Still being in some kind of role like that, that's definitely, going to be my goal for forever.
As I said, people that have taken even like thermabliss on board, I'm just a teacher.
Yeah.
I give you the tools. I teach you how to use them. And then when people grab them like yourself, you just run with them. You basically
Right.
do more than I do. So, and that's how I see things. It's like all I did was I just planted the seed and then you just flourished in the forest and you guys made that happen. I only do my little part in a big world. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But I know with your team, you actually have like a protocol set up. You do certain ways of doing everything when it comes to thermabliss as well. If I remember, I think we do have it. We still have your best practices that we could always share with everyone if everybody's interested in that. But yes, it's been a lot of fun meeting you, Peter, especially since last year. I've been having a blast with you. Thank you again. Congratulations again on the National Therapist of the Year award. It's such an honor to be that. So milk it, man. Milk it for the year. Run with it.
I'm trying to. I'm still, like I said, I'm still
Get you a
processing it
crown
all,
or
just making
something like that, or whatever. Maybe a little sash.
right.
Get that going. Maybe we need to talk to corporate and get that going for you. But yeah, thank you again for taking the time, and everyone, thank you for taking the time on your busy schedule to come to this webinar. We're open for questions now. If you have any questions, Peter, if you have anything else that you want to say at the end here, go right ahead.
I definitely think, thermabliss has definitely helped boost my career quite a bit. As a therapist in my clinic, I wasn't always like the best at adding on enhancements. But then like when thermabliss came along, it's like, again, I was skeptical about it because I wasn't a big advocate for hot stones for basic reasons. But, I decided to be a little bit more open-minded, give it a shot. And then after my first couple people I worked on, it was like, holy moly, let's make this happen. For everyone that's kind of on the fence about bringing this in to their clinics, definitely take advantage of, buying a few sample sets for your therapist and just letting them play with it and getting to know them. You just got to test out different things with these stones. Definitely take the training with Stefano first. You want to make sure that you set them up correctly and you're not using microwaved water when you charge these things. Because that was a very bad mistake I made. I was a little giddy when I first got these things and decided to test it out myself before I did the training with Stefano, and I regret it because I almost burned my hands off.
Yeah, training is key. In my training, I specifically teach you how to control the stones, that it never gets too hot for you. If you follow these steps, they work great. I always joke with everyone on my trainings, this is chemistry class. Welcome to chemistry class. It's not about hot stones. I teach you how the minerals work. I teach you exactly how to use the stones that they say at a normal temperature, that you're able to use it throughout the whole entire session. If you need anything, you could always come to our website, thermablisswellness.com. You have to sign in, have a license number. We just don't want anybody to go on there. On our training page, we have much more videos and photos on there, and we're always adding more and more things on there as well.
As you're training new therapists, like do it in a group setting. I found out it was better doing it in a group setting. Don't work on routine in the beginning. Just like get used to using these stones in your hands. Just let them play around with it, test out different things on each other, see what works out for them. Start using one stone at a time. Once you get the body warmed up, tinker around with, just using one stone at a time, but definitely getting your timing down right. I think that was the one thing I learned very quickly in that first 20, 30 minutes. When you put one stone down, it's going to recharge itself. Peek at the clock, and after a couple minutes, switch out that stone. So you have a constant heated tool on someone. Because that's one thing, if you're using these two stones constantly together, at one point you're going to need to place them down to help recharge them for a couple minutes. But if you just do one stone at a time after a while, it keeps that constant heat consistent. I encourage a lot of my therapists too, after I train them, if they don't have a lot of experience with the hot stones, like during their downtime, just to get used to handling the stones in the room and just to make it a more natural grip and all that stuff. During your downtime, just grab a pair of stones and mimic the massage on a table. I think that helped me a lot, helped my other therapists a lot. When you grab these stones, it's not like you went like 2 weeks without handling stones in your hands. It becomes natural. You just pick it up and you just go from there. You develop how strong of a grip you're going to have on these things as well. You're not gripping too hard. Like when they teach you golf, you want to hold it firm enough, almost like if you're holding like a bird in your hand, you're not going to choke that thing to death. So you have a nice firm grip, but not too strong. But definitely practicing on the table gives you an ability to learn, when I'm going to transition from one technique to another, how am I going to either flip the stone around? How am I going to transition to using a different part of this stone as well? So when that time comes up during an actual session, it's all natural motion from there.
Exactly. Before you even use the minerals, just get very familiar with the stone. Pretend, or you're working with one of your colleagues, think of like, let's say a Swedish massage. What do you do when you're in this certain area with your hands or your forearms or your elbows? Now put the stone in your hand. It's just an attachment of your hand. Okay. And then from there, you start getting used to getting familiarized yourself with the stone and all the little features on there. Then you add the heat to it. So again, I do everything in baby steps. By doing this, the therapist automatically knows, oh, I'm already at the scapular region. This is what I normally do, and this is what I would do with the stone. So now you don't even have to worry about that. All you have to do now is worry about the heat. You're going to already know the 3 rules that you have to follow. And if you follow those 3 rules, this is extremely simple. And as Peter said, using both of them at the same time sometimes is a little rough. There's a lot of therapists on these trainings. They like to say that they're manual therapists. Well, if you use one stone in one hand at every given time, guess what? You have a physical hand on the client and you're giving them consistent heat. And by flipping out the stones continuously, you'll always have human touch as well as a hot stone on that client. So people will have that human touch and a hot stone on them at every given time. So Alfredo asked Peter, do you do a full body session with the stones or just target it?
For like my 90-minute sessions, it's a full body. But for a 60-minute, we can just do targeted. We can just work upper body, glutes up. It's definitely doable that way. You use this thumb point and you can go to town in those rhomboids. They can feel that we're putting on more pressure with the stones. If we were to do it like with our elbows or our thumbs or our knuckles, sometimes we're putting that extra pressure. It can become a little unbearable at some points. But they say with the stones, they can feel us putting more pressure with the stones. But because of that heat that's being absorbed into those muscles and the nerves being relaxed from there too, like it helps their body cooperate without resisting that extra pressure that we're trying to put on. So again, breaking the law while we're diving deep into those muscles.
Yeah, you're working smarter, not harder. They might think you're working harder, so maybe they'll give you a bigger tip at the end. But yeah, it's the absolute truth. Let the heat do the work for you guys. You let them do that, and you use the little tools on that stone. It makes a huge difference. The nice thing about these stones and these charges, you can do whatever you want with them. Well, again, Peter, thank you very much for taking the time on your busy schedule. Everyone, thanks for taking the time on your busy schedule too. So we wish you the very best. We'll look for your little flyer there, or I guess it's in the massage magazine and whatever Massage Envy is sending out. But thank you again, greatly appreciate it, and we will all talk soon. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. Be well.
Thank you very much.